Dave from cheapwinefinder.com again, coming at you with another companion podcast for a review we just put on the cheapwinefinder.com website. And today we have a little bit of an upscale wine, not all the way because I got it at a great price, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But the wine we have here is a Simi Alexander Valley, Sonoma County, Cabernet Sauvignon 2017. And it's a wine that will list for around $25, $26, but I think I found it for $10 off. And it's actually a wine that you might be able to pick up on sale from time to time. And keep your eyes out for that, because this is a solid wine. Even at that price, it's a good wine at that price. But when you go and you get a bargain price, well, that's all the better. And Simi is a winery that's been around since the 1800s. It's one of the first wineries in California. I mean, it's that old. And it's been over the years, it's been owned by different people. I mean, the Simi family had it for a long time, and now it's owned by Constellation Brands. They have been, like, in Alexander Valley, pioneers there since the early 60s. And Alexander Valley is along the Russian River, north of the Russian River Valley, which is south. The Russian River was going east and west until some big earthquake a million years ago or whatever caused it to go north-south. The southern part of it is colder, and it's Pinot Noir, that type of thing. And you go farther north, and it goes all the way up into Mendocino, and you get more warmer. You're getting Merlots and Cabernet Sauvignon, and actually getting some really good Cabernet Sauvignons, and this is one of those wines. I'm going to take a sip just because I just wrote about it, and it tastes great. So, heck. Yeah, it really grabs your mouth. I mean, really, it's a well-made wine. You can feel it everywhere. It's not just all fruit. It's not just here or there. This is a wine that kind of checks off all the boxes. Now, it's owned by Constellation Brands, and Constellation Brands is a huge wine. Well, they have more than wine company. And a lot of times when a company gets bought out, the only thing that remains is maybe the name. They sell off the winery, they sell off the vineyards, or do different things with them. But Simi still has their winery, still has their well-known vineyards. And this wine is from two of their vineyards, two estate vineyards, and a handful of other ones in the area. And this is high-end area, so they even name them. I have a link on the in the review itself, so you can go in there and you can see just what vineyards they are. And so when, a lot of times when I write about the wines I write about for cheapwinefinder.com, no one's naming, vineyards. In Washington State, they name vineyards a lot, but in California, not so much. And there's reasons for that. Sometimes because it's the same vineyards as a $25 one. They don't really want you to know that. Because, but this one, it's a state, and it's some really nice vineyards in the area, because the Simi's been there forever. They know everybody. Hey, do you got any grapes? Yeah, we go here and there. And it's mostly Cabernet Sauvignon, but it does have some Cab Franc. It does have some Merlot. It does have some Malbec, and it has some Petite Sirah. And the first four grapes are all, Bordeaux approved grapes, and Petite Sirah isn't. It's a French grape. It didn't really happen in France, but it's everywhere. I mean, every time you see a blend, Petite Sirah is in it. It's like the secret ingredient for Zinfandel too. So there you go. So Simi is legit. It's been around forever. They have their own vineyards. They've had a string of some of the best winemakers in the world. I think these, for most part, are female winemakers, though I looked at the website. I'm not sure who made this one in particular, because they have a whole stable of wines, but they get legitimately good people making their wines. So that's, this is upscale. And like I said, it was $25. I found it for like $15.99, I think, maybe a little less than that. It's a crazy good price for that. And the difference between like a $12 wine and a $25 wine is that a $25 wine will take its time to get everything together. I think this one was fermented on skins for 21 days, which extracts all the tannins and the chemicals and the color out of the skins. And then it's on in oak for 14 months, though only 15% new. But all that oak seasoning and all the chemicals, the tannins, everything all take time to make them come together to balance the wine. Where with a $12 Cabernet Sauvignon, they would from the get-go try to make it come together quickly and be fruity. And they've gotten ways to get oak flavoring in there, even when they're not maybe using oak barrels or using not the most expensive oak barrels in the world. And they've done a really good job of it. But there is something about a wine where they don't cut; they take the time to get it done. I mean, the cheaper wines are more popular; they sell more, and I like them and I write about them, and I have no complaints about them. If drinking them is not second rate, it's different. An inexpensive wine is different than an expensive wine. But there's something about a well-made expensive wine. And this is only $25 on sale for $16 at Benny's in Chicago, if you're in the area. So it's just a really delicious wine. It hits your mouth in all the right places. It's got different flavors. It's got sharp flavors, smooth flavors. It's got, it kind of everything melded together, and there's all these elements all kind of dance together really nicely. I'm going to take another sip because, it's wine. Yeah, this is a really good wine. I like it. It's crazy good for $15, $16. I would pay the full price for it, though you probably don't ever have to pay the full price. The price on wine websites are usually a little bit higher because they don't want to compete directly with the shops that are selling it. So they're going to add a couple of bucks to it. If people happen to buy from them, all the better, because they don't have to split the money with the distributor and everybody else down the line. But a wine that's $26 online, you probably can get it for normally, even at inexpensive shops for several dollars cheaper. And this is a really good wine. Alexander Valley is a great place in Sonoma for Cabernet Sauvignon. Simi is a great name for these wines. Been around forever. This is kind of a classic Cabernet Sauvignon. Doesn't cost a fortune. The cheap and the cheap wine finder name isn't a derogatory term. It's in shorthand for value priced. You want cheap airfare. You want the best price. You don't want to pay too much. You want a cheap hotel. You want a good hotel. You don't want to pay too much. You want cheap wine. You want a good wine. You don't want to pay too much. And Simi, even though it's not, $10, $12, or maybe $4 we sometimes write about, is a value wine. You're getting a really good wine, and it's mostly estate fruit. But there's some other ones in there. And as you go up with single vineyard stuff, it gets more expensive, but not always with single vineyard do you always get a better wine, at least not for most people. If you like that wine a lot, then it's fine, buy it. But this is a wine that packs a punch, does everything it needs to do. It's a classic wine, and it's inexpensive for the price. If you want to drink upscale wine, but and don't want to spend $50 and maybe closer to 20, maybe 15. Yeah, you can do it. And that's what Simi Alexander Valley Sonoma Cabernet Sauvignon 2017 is all about. I think the vineyards change every year, and maybe the blend changes every year a little bit, though I think 87% is Cabernet Sauvignon. And sometimes there's more estate fruit, sometimes there's less, and what have you. But I think it's always good, and I'm going to try it next year. And adios. I hope everybody else is doing well. Things are starting to open up. I don't know if it's I think we're opening up because we need to, not because we're smart, but we'll find out in a hurry. So be safe, wear your mask. I like looking like Jesse James all the time, so that ain't bad. So keep it cheap and adios, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.